And now, Michigan Reimagined with Chris Buck.
So, the coronavirus pandemic has disrupted our lives in countless ways, including new construction and economic development. Or has it? Well, here to share a major investment in Grand Rapids is the Vice President of Business Attraction for The Right Place, Inc., is Mr. Brent Case. Welcome, Brent.
Hey, Chris. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for joining us. So The Right Place out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Talk a little bit about what The Right Place is and what's your mission.
Sure. Well, The Right Place has been around since 1985, and we are the region's leading economic development agency. Simply put, our mission is to keep the economy moving, stimulate growth, and assist local companies either expand or, improve upon their efficiencies and recruit new companies to the area.
Got it. Okay. And so as Vice President of Business Attraction, you're right in the thick of everything, huh?
I am. Yep.
So how's The Right Place funded? Who do you partner with to get things done?
Sure. We are funded 80% by private investment. So we are fortunate to have a lot of companies in the greater Grand Rapids region that recognize the value of The Right Place and the service that we provide. And they contribute significantly to help our organization perform our mission. And about 20% of it comes from foundations and contracts that we have with counties to do economic development in 6 different counties.
Okay. Wow. 6 counties. That's a big expanse for you over there. Okay. Fantastic.
It is. It's grown significantly. It started, of course, with Kent County, and over the years has expanded to include Montcalm, Ionia, Newaygo, Lake, and Oceana counties. Okay.
So does that include like Holland and Muskegon and some of these other cities that are near you?
It doesn't. While we work closely with them, they have their own economic development organizations in those counties. And so we do partner with them on projects and programs and, RFI responses and whatnot. But they do their own economic development in those counties.
Got it. Okay. So how do you measure results and what kind of results have you had over the years?
Sure. Well, The Right Place is very results-oriented and metric-driven. And the things that we track, we put everything into Salesforce so we can tabulate it at the end of the year as we're going along. But we measure new and retained jobs. We measure new and retained payroll for those jobs. We have a goal to get that average wage up in our region. We also assist job seekers, and we track that. And then, of course, we keep track of the capital investment in our region. And, Birgit Close, our CEO, is going to be retiring in January, and she's been the CEO since 1987. And in that time, there's been well over $5 billion of investment.
Wow.
And, over 10,000 new jobs, and attributed to, on her watch. So she's done a remarkable job. I really miss her.
Right on. Okay. So there was a recent announcement from a major West Michigan employer. Can you share what that announcement was?
Yeah. Perrigo recently announced that they're locating their U.S. headquarters in downtown Grand Rapids. So we're really excited about that. It's a project we've been working on since March of this year.
That's fantastic. Now, tell us a little bit about Perrigo. I mean, when were they founded and where was their prior headquarters?
Sure. So Perrigo is actually over 130 years old, and they were founded down in Allegan, which is in Allegan County, south of Grand Rapids, south and west of Grand Rapids. They do healthcare. Self-care is kind of what they call it, over-the-counter drugs. They do some prescription stuff. But they've grown to a global powerhouse over the years with their headquarters actually in Dublin, Ireland, and they have over 11,000 employees worldwide. We're fortunate that there's 4,000 employees here in West Michigan, and their base of operations has been in Allegan, but this is really their first North American headquarters that will be in downtown Grand Rapids.
Got it. Okay. So where exactly are they moving in Grand Rapids?
Exactly. They're going to be at 430 Monroe Avenue, which is right downtown Grand Rapids. Monroe is, a very central street, and it's right next to Michigan State University's current research center That's a relatively new building. Michigan State University has a health innovation campus that they've been constructing for the last 10 years since they moved their medical school over here. And so they're going to take the top 3 floors of the new building that's going right up there on Monroe.
Now, Monroe, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm coming in kind of heading west on 196, is that to my left on that medical mile? I mean, there's a whole bunch of large buildings up there that seem to be healthcare related. Is it right along that stretch?
It is. It'll have great visibility off 196. MSU, the Van Andel Research Institute, Spectrum, Helen DeVos Children's Hospital, Grand Valley State University. Yeah, it's right in the thick of the medical mile.
Got it. Okay, so this is, so it's perfectly placed, right? So they're right in that same wheelhouse of industry as all of their neighbors that they're going to go into. I'm surprised, actually, that there's a plot of ground large enough for them to build. How big is this space going to be?
Well, they're going to take about 65,000 square feet on the top 3 floors of this building. So I'm not really sure what the footprint of it, but yeah, it's going to be pretty big facility. I think maybe 9 or 10 stories high in total, but it'll be about the same height as the existing research center.
Got it.
There's already a parking deck there. It'll be attached to that. So hopefully it'll be done in 2022.
Got it. Okay. And this is a new build, correct? They're not repurposing an existing building.
That's correct.
Got it. Okay. And so I would imagine these deals don't just kind of materialize quickly. So I would imagine that this deal was in play before the pandemic hit. Assuming so, how has the coronavirus affected the timeline and the viability in general? Sure. Was this ever at risk, or how did that all work out?
Well, the project came to us through the MEDC. One of the business development people there that worked with Perrigo on a regular basis brought us the opportunity when the right place jumped in. And it was right at about the time that the pandemic was ramping up and getting serious with the lockdowns. And we were kind of, wondering if they would still go forward with the investment. But really, the pandemic didn't slow this project down any. They're a global company thinking far into the future, and they just recognized that they needed to put this facility down here. And really, a key driver was, partnering with Michigan State University and their research innovation center there.
Got it. And so did this deal start because they were bursting at the seams or looking to move downtown, or kind of what was the deciding factor for them to look for a new headquarters?
Yeah. Well, they recognized they needed to put all their executives in the same space to get those synergies, but also for innovation's sake, they needed to have a great space where they could attract new talent. And so, they were considering Chicago was another location they were looking at, as well as South Florida.
Wow.
And so, so we were, we had to put together quite a pitch to get them to come here.
Fantastic. Well done. I mean, now that everything's signed up, job well done. That would be a real shame to lose an employer like that and a 130-year-old Michigan company to an out-of-state parcel of land. That would speak negatively. So I'm grateful that you guys were in play. Usually deals like this require incentives. Were there a lot of incentives in this case? And if so, kind of what types? So we don't need to get into the granular stuff, but usually it takes a lot to attract these kinds of people in.
Well, undoubtedly, there's incentives that the state brings to the table, as well as the local municipality. And, that's just the nature of these types of investments. Illinois was offering incentives, as was Florida. And so the MEDC, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, came to the table with a $2 million business development program grant, which was very significant. This is for the 170 new jobs that they're going to create. But also the city of Grand Rapids stepped up huge. And, we're working through a real estate tax abatement as well as a personal property tax abatement for 12 years, which could amount to almost $4 million in that time.
Okay. So what kind of employee count did you say they'll have on this campus, do you think? And they are creating new jobs. I missed the number. Did you have that handy?
Yeah. So there's going to be about 170 new jobs created in the region. And so they kind of put them all together in this project. There'll be about 40 of them that will be downtown in this headquarters. And then the others will be new jobs created in Allegan and in Perrigo locations Holland as well.
All right. So is there a way? I mean, so a lot of people kind of are, really, in my opinion, misinformed about these incentives that, rich companies are just getting handouts to make more profits. Yeah. And I know from my economic development work, and hopefully listeners of this show will be a little bit more informed on that. There's got to be a humongous impact on having this type of a project right downtown, right? Especially with the pandemic, from restaurants and hotels and flower shops and dry cleaners and gas stations and right. I mean, is there a way to, because that's the investment, right? That's the return, is to try to get that economic density downtown. And I'm assuming, and I guess that's not a question, but that you agree with that, correct?
I do agree with what you're saying. That there is a huge economic impact of these types of projects. One, it builds on the momentum that is already the medical mile, right? To have a huge corporate giant located U.S. headquarters in downtown Grand Rapids over Chicago speaks volumes and, hopefully perpetuates what we're doing with the medical mile. But also, I mentioned that tax abatement that the city is going to provide. Well, that's a 50% tax abatement. So they're still collecting the other 50% for those 12 years. And when that abatement ends, they're collecting 100 of it. And I always like to say, when we're working on these projects, and most municipalities agree, is, 50% of something is way better than 100% of nothing.
Right.
And so, that helps with everything, and just, keeps Grand Rapids vibrant and, builds on the next project.
No question. And I've sat in some of the discussions with community members about these types of incentives. And another thing that they need to consider is, so what does tax money really go for? I mean, is this project going to cause a spike in police or fire or, roads and, some of the things that your tax monies go to? And you can argue that, unlike maybe some other projects, it's not going to be a burden on the city, right? So, I get that and think it's important to say that. So, no, that's great. Yep. So, in a project like this, you've got developers, you've got, real estate people, you've got landowners, you've got municipalities all involved. What's the right place's role in this? What position did you play? Yep.
Well, I was very fortunate, I feel, to be on this project. It's the biggest one that I've been involved in since coming back from Chicago. And I put the pitch together. So I worked with Michigan State University, with West Michigan Works on a training grant, Grand Rapids Community College, Grand Valley State University, Spectrum, Van Andel, to get letters of support. We had to operate in confidentiality and couldn't say what the name of this company, just that it was a big corporate giant that, would make a significant impact in downtown. But then do the research to do the cost of living, the cost of doing business, all those types of things, and put a cogent proposal in front of Perrigo to make them say, this is a no-brainer. With our Michigan roots, there's no reason for us to go to Chicago. There's no reason for us to go to South Florida. We need to be in downtown Grand Rapids. So putting that pitch together was really exciting. But then also coordinating for the incentives with the state. They do a great job at the NBC and with the city of Grand Rapids, who does a phenomenal job. But really being that facilitator, going back and forth. And at the end of the day, the CEO of Perrigo looked at it and said, yeah, this is a great project. And we actually had the governor on the phone with him and, to make that pitch, and he accepted right on the phone. So it was very exciting.
That's great. So it's really a sales process all the way around, right? You need to sell the company to do it, sell the neighbors that they're going to kind of be placed next to, sell the city and the municipalities and MEDC to pony up some of these incentives. And then I would imagine there's probably an approval process. I have no idea what the city of Grand Rapids zoning and, what kind of special use permits or variances or whatever that they're going to need. But all of that is a time suck and a presentation ad nauseum and all of that stuff.
Yeah, we hold their hand through all of that. Yep. Right. And, for us at the right place, we do service after the sale as well. So it's not like, welcome to ZR, good luck.
You're on your own, right.
We're holding their hand through the entire process, and we'll keep visiting them every year if they'll let us.
Exactly. Well, it all boils down to customer service, right?
Exactly.
So, well, that's fantastic. We've got about 45 seconds left. So the right place in general, are there any other signature projects that the Right Place can kind of put their name on as being at least a contributor of too?
Yeah. So, statewide, there was the Small Business Relief Program and the Small Business Restart Program that came out to help with COVID. In the Right Place, we administered that for 11 counties over here. The first round was for $1 million, and we helped 195 companies. The Restart Program, which just ended about a month ago, was $9.5 million, and we were able to assist 1,061 companies. So, we're really proud of that, and thanks to our partners in those 11 counties for helping to deploy those funds. But another building that and project that the Right Place was instrumental in is Acrisure, which is a huge insurance company. And they're putting up a 100,000 square foot facility right downtown by Studio Park, 400 new jobs, and $33 million investment. So
well,
that was
congratulations.
Project from last year.
Yeah, we're up against the clock, but we've got Mr. Brent Case, the Vice President of Business Attraction at the Right Place in Grand Rapids, rightplace.org. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Chris.